guys logged in. Mr. Questions, you should have a question.
What did I miss in the first 10 minutes? I didn't arrive around then.
I had a couple of questions that I wrote down.
Okay, great. Sure.
So I'm literally just starting to get into this stuff. This is my first semester at CCV. You guys mentioned ransomware a couple of times when you were talking. Is that like a form of malware?
I can take this one.
Go for it, Jason.
Okay. Yeah. So ransomware is a malware family that likes to, basically what it does is it'll load on a system, it'll encrypt everything, or it'll otherwise render that information useless and then it'll give you like an extortion note and says, hey, if you want your files back, which might be your sensitive, it might be your pictures, it might be your homework, it might be your financial information, anything. The ransomware basically rendered it useless, and the only way you can get it back is by paying a ransom to whoever is identifying themselves in the note that comes with it. So the ransomware has become a $1 billion industry as of this year for bad people. It's a big time thing. It's like full-time businesses that do this, and there's about 100 different variants. The last time I checked, of different types of ransomware that's built by different, threat groups or whatever. But it's long story short, it's a type of malware, and it's kind of driving kind of the current threat landscape when it comes to like what larger organizations face when it comes to malware.
The hospital last fall was basically offline for a month, practically dealing with a ransomware attack, and it was because they didn't pay the ransom. The solution is to restore all systems to a state before the ransomware, and that takes a while. They had a lot of systems, and the systems are complex, and so it's hitting. It's pretty prevalent these days.
Did you have another question? Jim, do you see that?
Pardon me?
You got someone with their hand up.
Oh, sorry. Could you not hear me? My bad.
No.
Oh, sorry. Okay,
Now we
so
can.
I was saying, I have a couple friends who work as like digital forensics, and some of them are threat hunters. I was just wondering, I actually have no idea how many threats, like you guys are talking about ransomware, how many threats are actually like caught, and like what percentage of the people actually get anything back, or what's that landscape look like? Because you're saying it's like $1 billion industry. I'm wondering like how accountable is, like how like that's my question actually.
Yeah. Debbie, I'll defer, but I'll take it.
Go ahead, Jason.
Okay,
Take it.
great.
I'll add on after.
Okay.
You're excited. Like what? Pick me.
Actually, Debbie and I had this conversation just the other day, and the scenario I like to use is let's say your threat that you're talking about is just malicious email, right? And you have these great technical systems, and they're 99% effective at stopping all email, right? But it comes down to a numbers game where you could have 100,000 emails that hit your environment in a day or in a week, right? Depending how big you are, right? That's a normal number for an organization with several thousand employees, where if those systems are 99% effective, that means 1,000 emails still get through, right? Those types of emails can be everything from an extortion email. It could be an email that's trying to impersonate your boss. It could be an email that's just trying to get you to click on a link to give your credit or give up your username and password. It could be an email with an attachment that wants you to enable macros and install malicious code and have it run, right? That's just on the email side. There are I would say millions of different types of quote unquote threats. So if you're talking about a threat hunter,
what if I'm talking about like let's say specifically targeted attacks, not like phishing where they send out emails to a bunch of people. Like I'm seeing like what percentage of targeted cyber attacks and ransomware and malware actually end up causing pretty much
Got it.
that
I-
outcome desired
Go
by
ahead,
the
Debbie.
attacker.
Yeah,
Oh my
so
gosh, that's
I
cool.
spend a fair amount of time with the FBI, and the philosophy of somebody wants to get in, they're gonna get in.
That's right.
So,
When I was
I've also I started a class with like we talked about 2-factor authentication stopping 99% of
Yep.
attacks.
Yep.
So
I can explain that if you'd like.
okay.
Yeah.
I also
so-
don't want to interrupt
Yeah. Debbie, go ahead.
So what the FBI commonly will say, and they'll use this analogy, and I think it's a good analogy because anybody can really comprehend it, is they say that, picture that you're in the woods and you're outrunning a bear. To survive, you don't have to outrun the bear, you have to outrun your friend. And so it's the same way with cybersecurity, right? So if we can make it more difficult and more fortified, somebody's more likely to give up. It's just like, if you have a string of burglaries down a street, they're going to go after the folks that their cars are unlocked or their homes are unlocked. If somebody's got a deadbolt, they're less likely to. So the fortification of the environment is important. But if somebody really wants to get in, as a matter of fact, one of the keynotes I was on today was a gal in Spain that was talking about a romance scam that took place over 4 months. That's how much this company wanted to get the assets that the insider had access to by, pairing him up with somebody that has similar relationship problem and got courted by this guy, and they got trust developed, and then, he tried to, review one of her papers with a USB or something that he had emailed. He couldn't get access to it, so he went to an older computer because she said, "Oh, I really need your help right now. I've got to do this. I need your expert opinion within, an hour. Can you find a different machine?" And he did. He went into a legacy lab that had an old Windows machine and logged into his personal email account, brought it across, and boom, last he heard from her, right? So if somebody really wants to get in, they're going to impersonate, they're going to manipulate, they're going to romance, they're going to do whatever they have to get there. But in most cases, you just need to outrun the bear or outrun your friend.
Sounds like some people need more friends.
Exactly. But go ahead, Jason.
Oh, so I think I guess the point that would kind of help maybe kind of share light on like the threat landscape is I'm going to give you a URL, and it's the word attack.mitre.org.
Oh yeah, is that the map? Is that the one that shows the map of
Yep, the matrix, right? So those are all different types of attacks, right? And depending on how you spin it, those can be the threats that we're talking about. So when Debbie's talking about doing this defense in depth, you try to block as much of that stuff as you can by having the right security controls in place to stop it. So when you have your friends that are doing threat hunting, they're trying to find, you can use this website also has different threat groups, and you can see the different indicators that will be stuff that they use in their behavior on how they attack stuff. And then those types of threats they're trying to tie those together when they're doing that threat hunting in order to identify specific groups or to identify specific targets, things like that, using the data that's available to them.
And the other thing, if you really enjoy that stuff, like if you're a gamer and you really enjoy trying to find that path or whatever, you might have the passion, the aptitude to be a really good red teamer, right? We're doing an engagement right now where we know what the assets are, we know what the targets are, and we've got some folks that are working on trying to get to them, right? It's like a computer game. I mean,
it's very fun. When I was younger, I used to I installed Kali Linux and started messing with that stuff. It's fun.
That's a great flavor of Linux.
So I can share one screen, Dr. Hogue, if that would be helpful. That might shed some light as well. Is that all right?
Yeah. Wait, I gotta turn it on. I turned it on, so you should be able to share your screen.
Thank you. I appreciate the trust. Hopefully I don't mess it up.
We're watching you, Debbie.
Yeah, I know. So this is just it's, again, and for the audience, this is just email, right? This is email that comes into us for, I think this is a week snapshot into our company. So we had, close to 22,000 messages, 65% of which we rejected right off the rip. That's my daughter saying right off the rip. 5 of them had inbound malware that were detected, and they weren't even presented to people to make bad decisions. We had 2,300 that were outbound. We had 0 outbound malware detected. Good for us, right? We should be at 0 as a security company. We had 406 total attachment sandbox, which I'm sure Jason would love to take that one on what that means. It's a very important technology today. We had 285 detections of impersonations. So it happens a lot. So just wanted to share that. Gives you a sense of a week in the life.
What kind of tools do you guys use to get this information?
So this one, I don't really want to tout any vendor specific, but the it's in the top right quadrant of Gartner, and because there's several out there that do a good job, but there are many that are just not keeping pace with what has to happen. But it's
And the good ones cost a fair amount, correct?
not horribly.
No?
No, I would say.
What kind of institutions could afford protection like this?
Most institutions can't afford not to have it. How's that for a lot of things that don't make a lot of sense? But you have to have it. It's really, it's almost permission to play in this, on the internet today. You have to have really good. The way I look at it is if we present bad tools to a populace, they're gonna do bad things, right? So we need to make sure that we're trying to filter out absolutely as much of those questionable things that can lead to bad decisions. And then if something gets through, and I'll use a perfect example, which it is of our company. So about 6 years ago, we had a different email protection in place. And our customer service group is in a distro group. So when clients will send something to customer service, it'll go to these, at that point it was 3 people. And sure enough, an email came through from a client we were working with in New Hampshire. It had a Google Doc attached to it, and 3 people, right? Because we weren't in a queued distro at that point, we are now, but 3 people clicked on it, right? And my sysadmin came in and said, well, we just barely missed a bad situation. And I'm like, well, what are you talking about? What had happened is the email came in from this gentleman who was a client asking for quoting information, and we were actively working with them on this. So it looked really legitimate. Our customer service folks expected to see this, right? So they all clicked on it. So the email got through our spam filter. We had an on-prem Exchange server that had antivirus, anti-malware, all this detection technology. So it got through that engine, right? It was opened by the user on their desktops. And that antivirus and anti-malware at the time and whatever else we had going on 6 years ago or whatever, that didn't catch it. When they opened that payload, it went to connect with the command and control server of the adversary. And our Perimeter Protect product stopped it from going out because it was a known malicious IP address it was trying to connect to. So Jason mentioned the defense in depth. I talk about layered security. It's kind of all the same thing, different terminology. But what it means is we need to be inspecting and questioning, inspecting and questioning, inspecting and questioning, and not trusting anything. And that leads to what is now being phrased as the zero trust model, which is making Jason's and my life a little bit more challenging, because that's really where we all need to go, where we don't trust anything. We have to have absolute authentication and verification that something is legitimate. But that gives you a good idea of, good technology, let it go through. People made a decision they thought was the right decision. The client, actually, their email address was being spoofed, so we got in touch with them, let them know what was happening, and they made some tweaks on their end. And
so what kind of zero trust models are you specifically talking about? Like what do you mean by zero trust? What would be your ideal system?
So
well,
I'll give you a simple
go ahead,
approach
Jason.
to that. So a simple zero trust model is you whitelist everything. Well, you don't whitelist everything. You whitelist the things that you trust specifically, explicitly, everywhere you have a control, right? So that means if you have an account with your company, right, that your permissions were deliberate, that your login is behind MFA, the things you can log into are deliberate, that when you send a request to a certain machine, that machine knows that you can authenticate to it, right? Because you're saying, I will only allow these things. It's not where you leave things open to say, well, I want the internet, I just want my network to work easier. So I'm just gonna, go the opposite side of that and kind of say, just, allow everything. It's disallow everything and be specific everywhere, and not trust anything.
What kind of issues could that pose?
Great question. Great follow-up question. So the hardest thing that has is it's a lot of overhead, and it takes a lot of man hours to try to maintain something like that, because there's always going to be new things added to your network. There's always going to be new applications, new people, and you have to be deliberate about all of it. So the zero trust model is it's harder to implement and it's harder to maintain.
Okay.
And the other thing is it reduces availability, right? So you've got you've got competing elements, right? Security and availability. The greater the security, the less the availability. The greater the availability, the less the security. So it's a teeter-totter. And I remember being in a conversation with a CEO of a hospital, and we were talking about security, and they said there's certain areas we don't want any security because we want people to be able to walk in, access data immediately with no authentication whatsoever. Go, right? I mean, people's lives depend on it. So that's all I can say.
For us,
It's very disruptive, and
what is an audio, a deep fake? What is it?
I can explain that.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and I might not know how Kyle might know it, but I try to keep track of newer technologies, whatever. But basically, it's like an examples that I'm picturing in my mind is where I've got video of Jim Hogue up on the screen, but I place the words in your mouth on the video and you can't tell the difference.
Yeah,
That's-
and on the audio element where they take samples, and actually I think the technology goes back to, which a lot of these technologies go back to academia, right? Because that's where we do a lot of the research, and United
Yes.
States individuals are brilliant and we fund research well. So I think this actually went back to Stanford in some regard. But again, digital sampling of audio or video, creating that artificial intelligence, huge database. And then as Jason said, you can, some of the technology you can basically put in text of what it wanted to say, and then it creates the individual, either the audio file of it or the audio and video. And it's
a real threat.
it is, and it's not, your dad's in a good place, but holy moly, yeah, that's a
The only
tough.
recourse would be, the only prevention would be having some sort of fingerprint of people's individual audio, and it may match it.
Yeah, so it may get to the point, like you've got, digital badges now, you've got, non-repudiated signatures that you do, like Adobe Sign. You have, there's this thing called non-repudiation, which is, it's absolutely authentically who you say it is. And I believe that, especially with social media, Facebook and Twitter and all the election stuff, and everybody trying to make everybody else looks like idiots, which is an unfortunate reality, they're gonna have to do something.
There's
They have to
there's
ask
also ways,
Mr. Robot.
there's also ways to try to maintain the integrity of the original file, right? It's called file hashing, or
Mhm.
using a hashing algorithm that gives you some sort of a check from that you check on it, or you establish what that hash is, and then once it's sent to the other side, you check it with that hash to make sure it's still the same thing. But it would be very difficult to do that in social media when there's so much video going out there. Like, how do you implement a technology or a control like that to
Yeah.
maintain the integrity of the original information?
Yeah, how do you know
All
the source is the source, right? It's not a recreated source.
Right. And all this takes computing cycles, which slows everything down, and we don't want slow connections anymore. Jordan's got one question, then we'll wrap it up. Jordan, he's got his hand up.
I actually had two quick questions.
Go ahead.
Do you guys find it super hard to like stay ahead in this field compared to like the people that you're combating technically?
It's a full-time plus job. I
Full-time
think,
job.
And if you're gonna be in this space, it's good if it's your hobby as well as your career. If you're gonna be good at it, you really need to be immersed in it. And I've been joking for the last 5 years, and Jim's heard me say this before, I'm sure in 10 years I'm gonna go Amish. That 10 years keeps pushing out 10 years so far, but unless you're gonna be like off the grid, you're gonna have to deal with this. If you wanna be a professional to try to impact our nation's security, economic and national security, this is a good place to be, because we are in as opposed to a kinetic war, we're in a cyber war, and we all can play a role in safeguarding our country. So if you have a passion and aptitude for this, we welcome everybody to work in this field. There's a place for you.
If you like to me, security is my life, and it's been my life for like 20 years, right? So I read about it when I'm not at work. I don't go to work, I go to fun, right? I enjoy what I do, but that's the thing, right? So you absolutely have to stay current on things, or the adversaries and the people you're trying to defend against will beat you.
But there's a strong community, right? We're doing this all together. Like Jason and I shared some things the other day, and I was in chat rooms today with ISC Squared, and I mean, if you've got concerns or dilemma, and our country, right? Our federal government is amazing. So you may have heard of ISO models and things like that with different standards and recommendations that the British government funded years ago, and they charge for all these ways to comply with certain standards that they develop. Well, we have NIST. NIST all their information doesn't cost us a penny, right? I mean, other than our taxpayer dollars, which are real dollars, but NIST readily gives all this research, all this crowdsourced recommendation that they go to experts and brainiacs all across the US and sometimes beyond the US, and they put it together in their recommendations as it relates to cyber. So if you want to learn some really good stuff, go to nist.gov. It's all free.
Trevor!
It's readily available. And if
You know, I've been thinking about it. I'm not quite sure if I'm ready to accept an apology.
Where is
my wife? Patricia
Gordon, you
doesn't
had
want to
another
speak to
question?
you. Frankly,
Yeah, so
neither do
my
I.
other question was,
Okay.
our like
well,
local hospital
I'll put some
got
coffee
a
on
cyber
that.
attack and
I'll
was
see you soon.
kind of crippled by it. Is that like a common thing in this field? Like if an attack actually gets through, like,
Healthcare environments. I spent about 3.5, almost 4 years working in one as a cyber person, and that's at the medical center here in Vermont. And the environments are challenging. They're as challenging or more challenging than, say, an academic environment. Those are the only two that are really challenging to try to protect. And it's because you have things like IoT devices and medical devices and a lot of vendor control stuff that you tend to run up into barriers with when it comes to trying to keep things up to date or fully protected or fully secured, because you have to balance that availability of that data, like Debbie was talking about, to allow for healthcare workers to do their jobs, right? So you kind of got to lay off on the CIA triad, I call it, the integrity, availability, and confidentiality of stuff. You have to lay back on the integrity and confidentiality and all the controls that you're doing in order to allow things to stay available. And that by itself incurs the need to be more prepared for incident response, more prepared for how you're going to deal with something when it comes, because it's going to come more often. So the larger the healthcare organization, the more complex the environment, the more challenging it is to do cybersecurity at those places. So when this particular one happened, it happened to be a perfect storm. We don't have enough time to talk about it, but I think they published on some of what those things were. But absolutely, healthcare is it's a good challenge if you're interested in that kind of thing.
Well, and healthcare is a good target for the adversaries, right? Because if you look at the value of data on the internet, on the dark web, I should say, PHI, personal health information is the most valuable, right? Because it's got all kinds of information that then can be monetized in some way, shape, or form. But there's from a geeky kind of a counterpoint, there's a few things that I think were missed opportunities, and it's very important for organizations of all size to take it into consideration. One is segmentation and micro-segmentation. When that attack came, it wasn't isolated. It just spread rampantly through a lot of different areas of that healthcare network. I think that was something that was hopefully a lesson learned. It's something that we practice in a lot of different environments, and we work mostly with small, medium, but we advise a lot of larger environments in that regard. The other is, again, having layers of tools that are looking for behavior that is abnormal. So, artificial intelligence, machine learning, behavioral analytics, all those types of things are available in different components that you can place in different systems throughout your environment that can start to look and say, is that something that's normal activity or not? And a lot of the things that happen with ransomware and encryption, the utilization of these tools can actually recognize that something's looks like it's a legitimate application,
nice
but it's
place
not.
you got here.
And again,
Oh, yeah. It's
isolate,
easy to mock, isn't it,
contain,
huh? Cheap and
and
fucking
stop
easy.
the unilateral
But,
movement
this-
throughout the organization.
This here is my place,
to
and
at
my
least
work
keep the
paid
damage
for my
as-
place.
as
All right,
minimal as
relax. I was
possible.
just being sarcastic.
Yeah, well,
So
don't be, all right?
I-
Because
you
the
know,
world doesn't
I'd
need
like
any
to
more
say that,
sarcasm. It's the blight of the
everything
age.
was
Yeah, I get
done
the point.
and it was
You
some was
don't get
bang,
the
but when
point.
something goes
You're
that
like every
rampant,
other
again,
asshole.
Jason
When you
has
get a bit of
friends
money,
there. He probably
you
knows
became
more
a
of the
turd.
inside details.
Well,
I'm gonna
news for
guess
you.
that
I
some
was
of
always
those
a
were like,
turd.
oh yeah,
No.
should have done that, right?
You
Just a
weren't,
key
man.
point,
You were
Debbie,
something.
to
But
your
now,
point
man,
on
you
the
know, you're like
tools and
this
having
place.
something
You're
like
a
the endpoint
shell.
detection and response
Go
tool is
fuck
they could
yourself.
not get one of
Are you
those.
some kind of
they
pure
could not get
morally
authority to
justifiable
deploy one.
asshole?
So
But
that
because
protection that
you're
you get from
totally
the machine learning and
psychotic
the
somehow,
AI,
it's okay?
looking at the
I'm honest,
telemetry
all right?
data, all that,
You're the
all the
Yeah,
stuff
you're a
like
fucking
that
hero. So
wasn't
far
there.
above it all.
Yep,
Yeah,
and
well, I'm
that
not
is,
above ripping
you
open
know,
your fucking
again,
chest
that's
to see what's
kind of
replaced your
you
heart.
have to
Rip
have
it
that
open.
thing.
See what's
And
there,
that's the
baby,
first
because
thing
I'm
they did
ready.
afterwards, by the way. Now they have
Hello?
it because fear tends to drive
Oh,
cybersecurity.
ladies, what's
Yep.
up?
Well,
And these are
off.
like systems for the students that are wondering.
I'm
It all seems
sorry.
overwhelming with how you.
We've got
the
a problem.
defense and depth, you're working with multiple
Government
layers
funding
of
thing.
everything.
We need you
Students
to,
often wonder, how do I start? And you just start somewhere.
investigate.
You
you
get on
just start
research lab
somewhere,
upstate.
exactly. You go to
That's not
cyber, you go
terrorism,
to your
the big
community
nerd
college, you
cast,
go to
biological terror.
NIST, you just start,
God, I don't
you
pay
just start
tax.
somewhere.
Listen, you need
Jim,
some
I wanted
very
to address
standard
one thing that
gear.
you asked earlier
Boat,
about, you know, how do you get
Tandem
into
rotor
it?
heavy helicopter,
Where do you
weapons.
start?
You'll have to source all of
Community
that.
college is a
Chopper
great
alone will
place
set
to
you back
start.
a couple
That's
of
where I
months.
started my
Oh, no
career.
worries there.
I
Trevor,
started
he
in
just came
electrical
into a lot
engineering
of
at
money.
Mohawk Valley Community College.
Is that sarcasm?
And,
Oh, you're fucking
and
right, it's
now I've
sarcasm.
got,
You
multiple
fuck.
credentials.
A few weeks
and,
ago, I was
bachelor's.
happily
didn't go on to get my
retired,
master's. I
assaulted
wanted
by
to
my
at some
swimming
point,
pool.
but,
My
that didn't
psychotic
happen,
best
but
friend shows up
I
out of
stay on
nowhere to
that
torture me over
credential path
mistakes
now
I made,
because
honest
that's
mistakes
more
I made
relevant
over a
for what I'm
decade
doing
ago.
today.
We, our little
There's
posse,
organizations,
are flat
and
fucking
ours
broke.
is a perfect
But hey, let's
example.
go out and spend $2 million
People
on
that
a
have this
tandem rotor
aptitude and this
fucking
passion
chopper
can start
so I can go
within an
steal nerve
organization
gas
and
from
a lot
fucking
of times have their
terrorists.
tuition paid.
Forgive me, you ignorant
we,
fuck.
we provide
But sarcasm is
incentives
all I
educationally
fucking
that
got.
help, adult learners
Sarcasm
or young
in a room
learners
full of
get
you
started
cunts.
and just pay
Yes!
as you go. But
Woo!
be in that
Welcome
career,
back,
get some
man.
of the certs in
It
that
is the
career,
old you.
And then I am a big
Yeah,
believer in
well,
having
we
that,
gotta go. It's been great, but Dave
that
here's got a
degree as well,
Pilates
whether
class.
it's an
Now remember,
associate's or a
ladies,
bachelor's or-
keep us
or
way out
beyond.
of this thing.
I have a question
Bye-bye.
about starting a career in information technology. So I actually
Lester.
scheduled a meeting a while
He
back.
said he knew about something.
September,
tell him that we're
in
driving
September, I
towards
had a
Toledo
meeting
Bay.
with Career Services,
Come
and they
on.
gave me some
Driving us up to the
information. We're gonna informational interview information and the CCB resume workshop. So I was and the CCB job board they were telling me about. So I was wondering, when I have all this information, I have my resume completed in the workshop. What would be the best way of me utilizing the CCB job board?
So the Career Services actually connects you with employers. They have job books, so they'll put a bunch of students' resumes in a book. And when an employer is looking for a person, they will let them look at the book, and that'll be all students who may be interested in that type of work, and then they'll pick who they interview.
Okay.
And so that goes. You also watch the job board. If there's something you're particularly interested in, you contact them. One of the events I was going to plug here while we're here, Jam, is this weekend in Burlington.
Let me call Lester.
I'm going to share the screen and show it. So
Now,
here is
we
Tech
got a
Jam.
funding problem,
It's this weekend.
so we need a job.
And
Before the
it's
jewel
an
store, you
annual
talked
career
about a
fair and
score,
Tech Expo.
a bank in the sticks. I need you to meet us there.
The
Toledo
first
Bay,
half of
right?
the day is free.
That's the one.
Session
I'll
is
get on a
free.
bus.
On a job when I'm
With lookout.
It's a great way of seeing the local companies that are in
All right,
Burlington.
Lester's meeting us there.
And a lot of them are looking for
Tell 'em
there's
to
some really
start.
cool. You'll
I
see a
won't.
lot of technology.
No
there.
way. Good call.
A lot of
Take down
like-minded
bank for a
people,
few million.
and a lot of
First
them
thing
have
you
groups
do
showing
is
what
call
kind of
the
business they do and what
hospital,
kind
tell 'em
of
get you
devices they
guys
work with and things.
Oh,
And then session two is more like a
Bank, you
conference
gonna
that
be carrying
has a
that kind of
keynote
change?
speaker.
Local
and
law
some
enforcement
other
extorting money
reception
from all the
afterwards, and that
weed
costs
farms,
$10 or something like
whorehouses,
that.
and meth
But the first one's
in the
free, and it's all
area.
the employees, people
Their
there
cash,
looking for a
savings,
job.
deposit
And
box.
don't
Then
be
there's all the
deterred.
normal,
You're not the only one, but certainly going up and
normal
talking to
small
people
town
and handing
payroll
your
stuff.
resume is,
Clean
you That's what it's there for.
I've been thinking about it,
and
Trevor.
maybe
Your lifestyle.
another class or two. But
Really?
most of the
Yes,
students I
I
talked to
have.
in 10 years,
People
by their
always
second
try
year,
to
they've got
label
a job on a help desk
you know?
somewhere.
Maniac,
You need a couple classes,
psycho,
maybe, sometimes even
friend,
before that in some other capacity.
industry leader.
Help desk
Some
often
ways you
needs
can
some
try
good people skills
categorization.
that can learn the technology
Then, what? Think
go
about
out
it.
just as well.
Where you live.
So, with that, we are
Short,
way
you precious
over
ass.
our hour.
Sorry there ain't a
Appreciate
place
everyone's,
nearby for you to get your
Debbie
fun.
and Jason, your
Right.
participation,
But
the students
why
that did
are
come.
you out here?
Pleasure.
It's off the
I
grid.
understand there were some
We're
issues
away
getting
from it
in
all.
yet again,
It's
but,
somewhere
this is a
real
recorded
and
situation,
authentic. This is
and get some
America!
information about it. But thank you all that came. And
This is
please see us. There's another session
America!
next
And real people
Tuesday
ain't been priced out yet.
Yeah,
IT
well, what if it
trends
gets
with a couple
gentrified?
people
Then
from the
I'll
field talking
fucking
about
move.
that.
Okay.
But,
What
thank you
about the way
both
you
very much
dress?
What about it?
for
I don't give a
coming and,
shit
talking to
what
us.
I wear.
No,
I'm
no,
gonna
no.
put our
If you don't give a
email in
shit,
there, our,
you wear clean clothes that
website
fit.
as well,
Yours
because we
are
do
all
continuous
a little
recruitment,
out
so
there, a little
Okay.
wacky.
Good luck, everyone.
Whatever's in the
we
shop's
we
what I
love
get.
to hire folks.
What is this?
Take
And
care.
then-
Not the
and-
absence of taste,
For a lot of these
Pete.
people I
It's
talked to
the
students, they said, I
opposite
put
of
my
taste.
resume in last October, and now it's September, and now
And then
it's,
there's the tattoo,
October, and
the
well,
hair,
the companies are really
the
busy.
weird
with
music, the
constant,
funny
need
toy,
turnover,
the
everything else,
niche
so
drug,
it doesn't hurt to
the
resubmit or contact somebody.
What the
You know,
fuck
again,
are we
just
talking
like
about?
layered
You
defense, I mean, you
are a
do multiple
hipster.
aspects
What?
of
You're a
email, call,
I hate
you
hipsters.
know,
Classic
go on a
hipster
chat on the
tonight.
website.
I never.
Take multiple contact with
Hipsters, I
you.
eat them for
Know that you're
fun.
interested.
Hipsters
Tech
love
Gym is there,
saying
there's
they
a career
hate
fair at
hipsters.
CCV. coming up,
Why
think it's in the
really
spring.
fucking
There's
do?
one at Champlain
Self-hatred.
that comes up, so there's a couple of
Common
these career
hipster
fairs
affliction.
around. Even just
It'll be
going
because
and
I'm
looking
living
at
out
the
here
companies
away
doing,
from the
talking,
bean
asking what
machines
they're looking
and the
for.
bankers.
And then the
You're
resume, the
gentrifying.
programs, getting the resume, going to the
Soon,
resume
the
workshop
skinny
is great
jeans will
for
show up,
students.
then the
Yep,
skinny
bad
lattes,
resumes,
and
they put
then
something like,
the
I know Microsoft
bankers.
Word
And you'll
as
be
their first
somewhere
item.
else,
And
starting the
Microsoft
cycle
Word is a
all
job,
over again.
you
Maybe
you
you're
don't
not a
wanna-
classic
you wanna
garden
list your
variety
technical
hipster.
skills and phrase it in
You're
a
what
way
the hipsters
that is,
aspire to be.
professional and
You,
might make someone want
Trevor,
to consider you.
are the proto-hipster.
All right, thank you everybody
Good
tonight.
luck, guys.
Don't know
Take it
what
easy,
you're talking
and thank you
I
so
don't
much,
agree with what
Debbie
you're
and
saying.
Jason. I'll be in touch. Bye.
Pleasure to
Thank
see
you guys.
Wind me up. Very
muffin, sausage burrito, or any size premium roast hot coffee, any 2 for $2. Or get a sausage McMuffin with egg, 2 for $4. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Price and participation may vary. Single item at regular price cannot be combined with combo meal.
Hydration. It's the fuel to our daily adventures. And it's about to change forever. Powered by cellular transport technology, Liquid IV's hydration multiplier has 5 essential vitamins and 3 times the electrolytes of regular sports drinks. All you need to do is add water. Liquid IV. Hydrate faster than water alone. Try a free sample at liquid-iv.com/sample.
To celebrate State Farm's surprisingly great rates, we gave this song surprisingly great lyrics.
Hey neighbors, when your claims get hard to file, State Farm's time to switch it up style. Great rates save you cash, so if you come join us, you'll get your coins up. Oh, now you know you can save that dough, and you're covered on your ride and your home. For great service on the low, then call up State Farm. It's time to switch it up.
Like a good neighbor.
Okay, we reconnected. Good. Okay, so let's go with home crew. Scene 3. Here we go. And play. Good.
as I thought. Those are the cheapest piece. So go with that. And then continue on. Okay.
Fight first, fight out, fight out.
What? You can turn it off. I have everything else turned off. That's video device have been plugged back in. Just in case. Okay, that's everything.
Fight jump die. Fight yourself. Fight. Southside, that's again. Light 1, light jump, that's again. Light side, first out jump, fight, that's again. Jump. First, that's one fight. First, that's a
There we go. GG. Debrief. And go to there. Plug into. I don't want that. Library. Keyboard. Oh, okay. Three, 7.
Attention job seekers. Public pharmacy need a third shift machine operators. $1,000 sign-on bonus and no experience is needed, as their U.S. Department of Labor registered apprenticeship program includes training. Hypertherm is 100% employee owned and rated one of the best places to work in New Hampshire. Hypertherm employs training securely through its over 50-year history of no layoffs, financial rewards, and annual protection once stock ownership. Apply now at hypertherm.jobs. Hypertherm is an equal opportunity
Okay, good. Okay, debrief. Okay. Okay.
One school from the whole houses. Self-guide. One straight skirt, one high skirt. One straight skirt, one from the hole. Jump favor, jump fight first.
What? Yeah. Yeah. I know, Daddy. Yeah. Excellent killing reported. Fisting my scenes some battle. Okay. Okay, all of those have level 2. That one for sure. Let's see. Yeah. Really? Okay. Let's go do that. Mission failed. Yes. No. Okay. Recruit a hole in a crew. Chicken artist.
Jump 1. Set die. South bite one first one out jump. That die one in jump bite one in. That they bite die jump. That they bite jump. What goes in the whole third house right here? South first jump bite south one.
Yeah. Sure. Okay. Come on. Well, I don't see it. That's why I'm doing this. That is who I'm writing today. Enjoy.